Yeah. Well, we met, during the war. And actually, I had just been a working girl one day when we met. I said, do you want me to start there?
Yeah.
And anyway, I was going to these dances at the YWCA. It was through our church, two churches in St. John. St. Paul's Church, and Mrs. Story was our leader, and then St. Stone Church. And but anyway, they were to bring so many girls to the Y for the guys to dance with, you see. And we danced at the Y between, I think it was 7 and 10, and then we went home. And it didn't cost the guys anything to go in there, and we had to pay 15 cents. And I guess halfway through they served coffee or something like that. But they had a pianist there and a drummer, and I guess that was about it, for dancing. And so anyway, that's where I met your grandfather there at one of those dances. And as I say, I had just been a working girl for one day. And so, but then I don't think he took me home that night. But nobody had cars in those days, so you walked home. And
this is in St. John?
This is in St. John, yes, yeah. And as I say, we danced between 7 and 10, and then they'd walk you home, and then they just walked back down to their barracks. That was it. So, but anyway, I used to see him, and then I used to see him a little bit more and all that, and we danced, and then he was sent out to Nanaimo with his regiment, which was the St. John Fusiliers, and so he wanted to go overseas, and by this time he was a company clerk, and the officer said, well, put your name on the list, and he says, I have, sir, and he said, but they take it off, and he says, well, put it on again, and I'll make sure they don't take it off this time. So he came back to St. John, all across Canada, on a one-man draft, and he had, I think, about 10 days leave in St. John and Fredericton before he went overseas on the ship to England.
What year was this?
This would be 1943. Okay. We met in 1942, and then he went overseas in 43. So then he was assigned to the North Nova Scotia Highlanders when he was over there. And they were stationed at the south of England and getting ready for D-Day. So, but he wrote every day, and I wrote him every day. Sometimes, we had these air letter forms, and maybe I'd do 2 or 3 days in one form or something like that, but we always wrote to each other. Oh yes, well, before he went overseas, he'd always said he didn't want to leave anybody behind, and he wanted, and so I said, that's fine, we'll just be friends. But before he went overseas, he gave me the diamond ring, be engaged.
Oh, really?
Asked my father and so on, and so we were engaged, but we still wanted to go out to dances and, and have some fun and things like that, but we didn't want to get married till after war because of our age and so on.
And how old were you in 1943?
I was 18, and he'd be 20 when he went overseas.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then of course he went in on D-Day and was wounded. He went over and Benny-sur-Mer and that area there and got wounded and was sent back to England to a hospital, and it was his upper arm, and so he had a lot of shrapnel in the arm, a great big piece in his arm. And he had some in his legs, but they worked their way out. But this piece in his arm, I still have a piece here. And the doctor was trying to take it out. This is back in England, and no, what do you call it? No anesthetic. They just pulled. Trying to pull this thing out. And of course he was hanging on to, I guess, a nurse's hand and just about breaking her fingers. And anyway, another nurse there, or a doctor, I guess it was a lady doctor, she said, let it go, and she said, I'll try another time. So then when she tried, she went in and out of the bone and muscle in his arm and got that shrapnel out.
So if she didn't get it out, what would have happened?
Oh, yeah, well, I had to get it out, yeah. Well, you know, you can't have a piece of mortar. You know, it's a piece, you know, like the size of your
So
palm.
If they didn't get it out, would they have to amputate?
Well, one of his, well, I guess so. One of his officers there, this Cy Kennedy from Nova Scotia, he asked his, oh, I forget what you call them there, the guys that assist, you know, the officers. He was in the same fight as Hilton was in, you know, but his was worse, of course, and his arm was just hanging there, you know, just like the upper arm, was just hanging there, and he told us, oh, I just can't think what they call the guys, to cut it off, and he said, "I can't, sir," and he said, "It's an order." He says, "I can't, sir." And he says, "God damn it, give me that knife," and he cut it off himself.
Cut his own arm off?
Yeah, cut his own arm off. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so of course he never did have an artificial arm. The thing just sort of waved up and down, you know, when he talked, sort of thing. But you know, he just kept it in his jacket, that top of that arm there. But anyway, so then of course,
when you said, where was he in France when he was in France when he was injured?
Yeah, this was D-Day. You know, when they're invading France.
Yeah.
You know,
Where was he? Because you said the place.
Bernie Surmer. Bernie Surmer, B-E-R-N Surmer. Surmer means on the sea.
Belle-sur-Mer.
Yeah, Surmer, yeah,
Okay,
on the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Canadians had one section, the English had another section, and the Americans had another section, you know, when they invaded for D-Day. That was the beginning of the end of the war. So that was 1944, you know, June the 6th.
Okay.
And Hilton got wounded June the 7th.
So he made it 2 days.
2 days in there, yeah. And they had, you know, a lot of them were killed, of course, and the wounded were sent off, you know, back to England. Yeah.
Did he talk about it much? Or?
No, that's the thing, is they, you know, when they come home, they don't talk about these things. They just want to forget about it. And but you know, during the war, when we were up here, they always got together for Remembrance Day. The men did, you know, like Hilton always contacted them, and they'd get together and meet downtown at Bill Fraser's. He was an ophthalmologist downtown, and they meet at his office, and then go to Queen Street and parade up to the Parliament Hill, you know, for Remembrance Day services. And then they used to come back to one of our houses and have a kind of get together, and maybe I'd host it one time and have one of the wives with me, and we'd just be in the kitchen getting, you know, lunch ready for them or things like that. So they'd come back there and they talk about the war, but they talk the good and the bad, you know. So, you know, but because they understood each other.
Yeah.
But they didn't seem to want to talk about it to other people. I guess they just didn't feel like. Well, I remember one time we were visiting Marilyn, England, and when she was living there, and Marilyn wanted to take us over and see one of the cemeteries, and he said, "I can't go," he said, "it's too upsetting, you know, just to go to the cemetery and see those names there, that people he knew, you know."
Yeah.
But later on, a few years later, we did go to one of the cemeteries over there. But anyway.
What was that like?
Well, it's very well, you know, they have the War Graves Commission that looks after that, and any name that you want, you can look it up and see just where that person is. You know, they'll say, you know, roll so-and-so or whatever, how they describe the place, and so you just go up to that place and so somebody along, and then you find that person's name there. So it's very well run. They used to, the War Graves Commission, yeah, they used to have an office in the DVA there on Wellington Street. Okay. You know, the Veterans Affairs building?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they had an office there, so. And then the war ended May 45, and then he was sent home. So he came back October the 2nd, 45. And we never knew when he was coming. And of course I had planned a holiday with my girlfriend, and so I guess I missed one the year before because I thought he'd be sent home because he was wounded, you see, but he wasn't. And so we said we'd have our holiday and as planned, and so we went down to New York City. by bus and had 2 weeks holidays down there. And I just got home and then found out that he was coming on the next ship, you know, Ile-de-France it was. You know, that ship was in the port of New York when we were there. We saw it, but he never knew when he was coming. And
so that ship, was he on that ship?
No, that ship that I saw in New York was a ship he came back on, the Ile-de-France, but he went back to England, and next time he came over was in Halifax, you see.
Okay.
But he never knew when he was coming. And so anyway, so then I just got a leave of absence from the bank, and we had a week's honeymoon.
Yeah.
But we always said that we'd get married as soon as he came back from overseas. So he got back on the 2nd, and we got married on the 20th. 18 days.
18. And what month was that?
October 1945, yeah.
You get back on October 2nd, 1945.
Yeah. He got back October 2nd. We got married on the 20th. And so I had already...
October 20th, 1945.
Yeah. And so anyway, I had, you know, I guess a year or so before that, or probably about that time, sometime when he was overseas, I got some material to have a wedding dress made. And there was a girl in town who used to specialize in making clothes for weddings. She loved to do that. So I asked her if she'd do one for me, and she said, yes, when's the marriage? And I said, well, he's overseas right now, and when he gets back, well, she said, I'm not going to make a dress that's going to hang in a closet. She said, when he comes back, you let me know, and I'll make your dress. So I called her up there, you know, early in October there. I was back. I said, we're planning to get married the 20th. That's fine, she said, I'll make your dress. And so she made my bridesmaid's dress, and she said, what else have you got to wear? And I said, nothing. And so she made me 3 more dresses.
Wow.
All in that time.
And how much in 3 weeks she made?
Yeah, she made my wedding dress and my bridesmaid's dress and 3 dresses for me.
Wow.
You know, the short ones. I mean, the other 2 are long. But, oh yes, then my grandmother sent her wedding veil over for me to wear at the wedding. She knew that we were going to get married soon, so she had sent it in the mail, the wedding veil, and of course it didn't arrive in time. And so a friend of mine had just married that spring, and so she had a fingertip veil, and so she lent me her veil, and so I used that. So as soon as I got back from my honeymoon, there was my grandmother's veil there, so I got dressed up and wore her veil, or put her veil on, and took a picture and sent it over to her.
Oh, okay.
So that's the story of that.
What's a fingertip veil? This might be
Well, a fingertip, it just as long as your fingers go, where the other veil would be longer, I guess. It'd go down to the floor, probably.
I thought you literally meant you wear it on your fingertips.
Hmm?
I thought you literally meant you wear it on your fingertips.
No, fingertip veil. You wear it here, and it goes down to your fingertips.
okay.
Yeah, I probably got a picture in there of
Any
it.
female watching this afternoon will be laughing at us.
Yeah.
But they don't know this, but we,
I don't know.
We got some fun.
I probably got a picture. I don't know if you can see the veil or not, but anyway. So that was that.
So where did you, I guess, do you remember the church that you had your wedding at?
Oh, I guess so, yes. That's where I was baptized, and everything happened at church, St. Paul's and St. John.
Okay, so it's the same one, it's the same church you met Papa.
Well, I didn't meet him at the church, no, but it was a church group
Okay.
that took us to the Y, to the dance.
Okay.
And it was another Anglican church group, you know, the Stone Church, that she had some girls that, so we were just, you know, so somebody for the guys to dance with.
Yeah.
They mostly all men in those days, you know, in the services you didn't see many women.
Right.
Not then, so. But as I say, and there's no drinking at all. There's no drink. There's nothing like that. I guess they stopped halfway and had a coffee or something. But and as I say, we paid 15 cents. So I guess that paid for the pianist and the drummer there.
It's reversed today. It's today. This day and age at the bars, it's women get in free and the guys have to pay cover.
So anyway, but yeah. So and of course they did all kinds of dancing and jitterbug and foxtrot and all those things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you know it was early, as I say, 7 to 10 o'clock, and then you walked home, and And they had to walk way back to their barracks, and you went to work the next day. So there's no cars. Nobody had cars.
Oh, back in the early 40s? In St.
Nobody,
John?
nobody had cars. No,
Okay.
none of the service people had cars, and my father never had a car.
So how long was that walk kind of back from?
Oh well, I suppose St. John. I suppose half an hour at the most.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still a
In
decent-
St. John, there's hills, you know, so
yeah.
you're up the hills or down hills. So anyway, you know, it was just having a good time during the war. And so the soldiers went Tuesdays, and the airmen went Thursdays, and the soldiers went Tuesdays, the airmen went Wednesdays, and the Navy went Thursdays. And then they had another dance at the Y Hut, which was another place there, and that was sort of run by the Y too, but not the same place. But you know, they're entertaining the services. That was a thing, something for them to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So would you go to all three kind of events, or would
Well,
you just,
sometimes I go to the mall. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I would. Yeah.
You played the field.
Yeah. So, well, as I say, yeah. So that's when I guess I stopped taking piano lessons because I didn't have time to take piano lessons anymore because, you know, the war kept us pretty busy, and I had just, you know, started work too. So.
And were these men from all? They weren't just from New Brunswick. They were from all across Canada.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, usually. Yes, they'd be from all across Canada because they used to come and train there. Like they had the Cape Breton Highlanders come one time, and so they trained in St. John for a while, and then I don't know where they went on from there, and then we had ships coming in, and so some of them were they'd be merchant marines, they call them, and they could go there too, and then the Air Force. Sometimes we were invited down to the Penfield Ridge. That's where they trained. There's still an airport down there at Penfield.
Okay.
And so that was to be a big bus drive down there for us. And but they would put on the dance down there, and we just have a busload of the girls going down there just to dance and then drive back again.
Okay. Was the forces base in Gagetown? Was that there back then?
I think they were just sort of developing Gagetown at that time. That seemed to be more at the end of the war. Yeah, so I didn't go there. I have been there, but I mean, we as kids we didn't go there. We just, as I say, went to where else did we go? Well, and then sometimes we'd rent a toboggan, go to Lily Lake, and they had a toboggan hill there. You know, they had that big hill there goes right down and it ends in the lake. Of course, the lake's frozen.
Yeah.
And so you sort of come down the hill, and then there'd be a road that went all around the lake, and then you go over that bump there, and then you get in onto the lake, and that's where you ended up, you know. So they had these big grooves that where the toboggans went down, you know, so you had this groove where you went down. You didn't steer it, you just went down the groove, you know.
Okay.
So these great big toboggans, and no pads on them.
These are
And-
wooden toboggans.
Wooden toboggans, yeah.
Okay.
And they rented them. And so anyway, I went down to one of those, and they had these big kind of knuckle things on the side that had the rope, so you held the rope at the side, and these big screw things there, big, you know, knuckle things there. Anyway, came down the hill, went along the road, and then this big bump, and then down on the ice. And of course I landed on one of those big buckle things there right in the bottom.
Well, how old were you back?
I thought I didn't think I'd walk again, you know, it hurt so much, you know.
Oh.
I thought I was paralyzed, you know, really.
Oh, wow.
It hurt so bad. Yeah, so I never went tobogganing after that.
Oh, really? How old were
That was
you?
the end of, how old?
How old then?
Oh, I suppose I was 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And never toboggan after that.
Never what?
Never tobogganed after that.
No, not after that, no. And there's no pads or anything like that. I think, you know, they used to have pads for them, but these were rented things. They rented them from the Lily Lake there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to your wedding. So I know you said like the you know, like the wedding dress.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You know, you were able to get
Yes,
that done in
well,
2 days.
wedding, so mother's friends helped her make some sandwiches and things. So he just invited people, well, not everybody, you know. Hilton's parents came, and I guess his aunt and uncle, but you know, they didn't invite all, well, young people, juniors, where they were in those days, but
So his
everything.
brothers and sisters didn't come?
So,
His brothers and sisters, they didn't come?
well, his oldest brother was the best man, so I don't know if any other family were there or not. And Trevor was still overseas, and Freeman was just back. So Hilton and his brother both wore their uniform to the wedding, you know, because they were still in the Army. Hilton was still in. He didn't get out of the Army until the next January. So, but anyway, we went to the church, and of course, as far as pictures go, you just go to the photographer's place there and have your wedding pictures taken, and then you come home and have the reception. And then we got on the train and went to Bangor for a honeymoon.
Oh, okay.
And
Why did you go to Maine?
well, we just wanted to get away to another place, you know, it wasn't too far.
Okay.
So we got on the train that night, and we got in around midnight to Bangor, and so we were in the Penobscot Hotel, I guess. And anyway, we didn't get there till around midnight, and I guess they sold our room and thought we weren't going to come, I guess, and they gave us a honeymoon suite. So that was all right. So that was for a night or two, and that was it, you know. But I had relatives in Bangor, but I didn't let them know I was there, because I just, you know, we just wanted to have a few days by ourselves. And then, of course, when my relatives found out, when they invited us out for a meal and took us to their summer cottage there in Winterport, which is outside of Bangor, and so we had a great time there.
Oh, nice.
So that was, I think it was a week.
So the day you got married was also the day you went on your honeymoon?
Yes, everything's all that, yeah. Yeah, didn't cost a fortune like it does now either.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, and because there was no booze in those days, you know, people they just didn't have money for that kind of thing. So
So the reception was sandwiches. It was like a
sandwich, yeah, sandwiches and things like that, I guess, and the cake, of course, and wedding cake.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I got a picture taken in there of the wedding, at the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Do you want to see picture? We'll do some pictures later.
Yeah,
And stuff,
we'll
or-
have a little show and tell later.
Yeah. Well, it's a photograph there, yeah. So yeah, so he was come on the train that night. So yeah, I got in Bangor that night. Everything happened that night, that day.
Wow. Wow, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Because now, I mean, it's
Yes, yeah, so different.
Big
Yeah.
hoo-ha.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's number of days.
yes.
even.
Well, yes. I mean, nowadays they spend so much on weddings. It's just ridiculous, you know. And then, but it was a very good wedding, very good marriage, and I had 51 years.
51.
Yeah, 51 years. Yeah.
What's one of your best memories
What's that?
of Papa? What's one of your best memories that comes to?
Oh goodness, I don't know. I got a lot of good memories. Yes, yeah, we did a lot of things together. Well, he worked for DVA when he first got out of the Army, and then he had a chance to go in the Royal Canadian Legion, and so he worked there, you know, as the provincial secretary treasurer of the Legion New Brunswick for 12 years, and then there was a chance for him to come to Ottawa, and so some of his friends thought that they were looking for a member of the War Veterans Allowance Board, you see, and the Conservative government was in, and he had a lot of friends in that Conservative Party, you know, Justin McCrae and Cy Kennedy and all those people. And anyway, they sent him to Ottawa to see the Minister of Veterans Affairs, which was A.J. Brooks. And he was from New Brunswick, and so he had an appointment with him, and he was appointed commissioner with the War Veterans Allowance Board. In those days, they thought it would be like a 12-year or a 10-year appointment, but it you know, it just went on and on. So there was no 10 years about it. So anyway, came back, and I was all for going, but a lot of people, women that were married, they didn't want to leave the city, you know. And it was a chance.
Want to leave St. John?
No, and but I knew it was an appointment, a promotion for Hilton, and so I was happy for him to get it. So I was all in agreement to go.
What year was
So,
that? What year was that?
So that was, let's see, we came up 58, December 1958, and we came up during the Christmas, New Year's holidays. So I think we landed here in January the 1st, 59.
Wow.
And in the meantime, I guess Hilton was up here about a month, and one of his friends here, they looked for a place for us to stay, and they found a place on Kinnear Street for rent. It was a sublet. And so just for 9 months, and so we thought, well, we'll take that and then, you know, get something else. In the meantime, you know, we'll look for something else. So we lived there, and so that worked out fine. And then, of course, we were looking at, Campa was building Beller Heights at the time, you know, and Teron was building out here at Bell's Corners, you know, and we thought that was way out in the country out there. And so we got this one campo, and we moved in September, the end of September, like 29th or whatever it was, and that was our 9 months that we had sublet in Kinnear Street. You know, it just worked out fine. We just went from one place to the other.
Wow.
Didn't miss a day.
And then that was Klein Gresson was after Kinnear Street?
Yeah, Kinnear Crescent, no, Kinnear Street was where we had the sublet.
Yeah, and
then we went to Klein Crescent.
Yeah.
Beller Heights.
Yeah.
So then I stayed there 40 years, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, Hilton died 2 years before I left, but I was there 40 years.
So when you moved to Ottawa, were all the kids were born at that point?
Yes, yeah. Yes, and Marilyn went into kindergarten that fall. And so Barry would be, I guess, in grade 3 or 2, and Peter in grade 5, I think it was, yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, they had Agincourt Road School to go to, and I think Marilyn was in the gym of that place there because they didn't have enough classrooms. So she was in a gym. They didn't have the portables in those days.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, they went to school, and no school buses either in those days.
Yeah.
They always walked to school.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
always walked. Yeah, there's no school buses.
Yeah. That's probably where Dad got it for us. Because Dad always wanted us to walk to. In high school, we didn't have a school bus, so he always wanted us to walk to school.
Yes, oh yeah, oh yes. Well, it wasn't that far, you know, and yeah.